You are on a date that is going perfectly. The conversation is easy. The chemistry feels real. And then they reach for their fork the wrong way, or laugh a little too loud, and something inside you just switches off. You don't decide to stop liking them. It just happens. 1 second they were someone you wanted to know. The next, you can't explain why, but you're already gone. You've felt this before. Maybe you called it the ick. Maybe you didn't have a word for it at all. Either way, by the end of this, you'll understand why your brain can end an attraction in under 1 second flat, and why trying to talk yourself out of that reaction almost never works. Here's what makes this strange. You didn't think about it. You didn't weigh the pros and cons. Something older than logic made the call before you were even aware a decision had been made. So what is actually happening in that split second? To answer that, you have to go back to a part of your brain that has nothing to do with romance at all. In the 1980s, psychologist Paul Rozin began studying a completely different emotion, disgust. He wasn't researching dating. He was researching why people recoil from spoiled food, from rot, from anything that signals contamination. But here's the twist. Rozin found that disgust doesn't stay in its lane. Show someone a glass of juice, then drop a sterilized, perfectly clean cockroach in it, and most people still won't drink it. Even knowing it's safe, they can't unfeel the reaction. Why would a system built to protect you from spoiled meat care about a bug that isn't even dirty? Because disgust was never really about germs. It's about anything your brain flags as a threat to your quality, your standards, or your safety. And it turns out, that same circuitry doesn't just judge food. It judges people. That's beat one. But it gets stranger. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss spent decades studying human mate selection, and he found something counterintuitive. Attraction isn't just built to pull you toward good partners. It's also built to push you away from bad ones, fast, before you invest time you can't get back. Think about that for a second. Falling for the wrong person costs you more than just falling for the right one benefits you. So evolution didn't just give you a slow-building attraction system. It gave you a rapid shutdown button. The ick is that button. It doesn't need a big reason to fire. A tiny inconsistency, an awkward moment, a gesture that reads as low status or careless, and your ancient threat detector treats it exactly the way it would treat spoiled food. Not dangerous. Just off. And off is enough. Here's where it gets even more unsettling. Psychologist Rachel Herz, who has spent years studying disgust and emotion, found that disgust doesn't just flag a moment. It contaminates the whole memory around it. One-off gesture can retroactively taint every good moment that came before it, the same way one rotten piece of fruit can make you suspicious of the whole bowl. That's why the shift feels so total. It's not that one small thing weighed against everything else and lost. It's that your brain used one small thing to reclassify the entire person. So here's that answer you were promised. Your brain ends attraction in under a second because it isn't actually running a slow cost-benefit analysis in that moment. It's running the exact same ancient contamination check it uses on food, on wounds, on anything that could quietly harm you if you got too close. Attraction gets vetoed instantly because the system evolved to protect you instantly, long before dating even existed. But if this system is protective, why does it so often fire over something completely harmless? Because the system can't tell the difference between a real red flag and a trivial one. It just pattern matches to off and pulls the same trigger either way. A micro-expression, an odd laugh, a strange habit. To your logical brain, none of that matters. To your disgust circuitry, it's all the same category of signal your ancestors used to avoid illness and danger. That's the twist. The ick isn't broken. It's just wildly overactive for the world you actually live in now. And that brings you to today, specifically to your phone. Modern dating didn't just add more people to choose from. It compressed judgment into seconds. A profile, a message, a 5-minute conversation, a single video clip. Your ancient contamination detector, built for slow tribal life with a handful of familiar faces, is now running constant rapid-fire scans on strangers, with almost no context to calibrate against. No wonder the ick feels more common now than it probably ever has. You're not more shallow than previous generations. Your evolved instincts are just operating at a speed and scale they were never designed for. So the next time attraction vanishes in an instant, you don't need to feel guilty about it, and you don't need to force yourself back into it either. What you're feeling isn't shallow. It's ancient. You are on a date that is going perfectly, until suddenly, without asking your permission, it isn't. And now you know exactly whose decision that really was.